right now. So, we are all Fetts are off. I am Jason. My cousin Brian is over in San Antonio. And, we're just a couple of guys. We're just here. We're just going to talk a little bit of Star Wars. My cousin Brian is the expert. I am the skeptic. However, I am a fan as well. So, I'm over here in beautiful Miami, Florida. Brian, introduce yourself to the beautiful people out there.
All right, folks. So for all you Star Wars fandom in the Star Wars universe out there, we are all Fetts are off. I am Brian Donahoe. I am going to be your Star Wars aficionado for the next 90 minutes. We're going to go through some stuff tonight. Hopefully you find it interesting. Feel free to, to look at the handles underneath the feed right now and reach out to us if you have questions or if you have anything you want to add. If you guys are ready, we're going to kick this sucker off.
Right. So, the first topic we're going to talk about here on this pilot is we're going to kind of talk about the Rise of Skywalker. We're going to round it up, talk about the theatrical gross. I assume you have those numbers, those up-to-date numbers. If not, I can get those.
I got a few.
Okay, cool. And some fan reaction that we've been seeing on social media. What we feel about it and Ray's story isn't in fact over just the beginning. So Brian, you're the expert. You love everything Star Wars. You are the purist. I really want to know what you think about it before I go into mine.
I dabble a little bit. I'm not saying it envelops every fiber of my being. Yeah, okay, I'm totally full of it. Yeah, it does. The Rise of Skywalker, we were told that we were going to get the culmination of over 40 years of Star Wars material that George Lucas started, and Disney kind of came in and took the torch from him and started a new set of sequels in 2015 with a couple of side story spin-off movies on one individual character and then one piece of lore that never really got explored. And we were, this was going to be the summation of all of that. This movie, it was going to be the final send off for everything that we've grown to love. I did enjoy it, but I'm not sure that I got that mega send-off feeling from it. That's just my piece on it. As far as theatrical gross on the movie, it did just 1 billion. It did 1,999,000. I mean, it's on that cusp of hitting 1.1 billion. So all three sequels, 7, 8, and 9, did in fact do 1 billion. But the interesting thing you're going to find from this is versus The Last Jedi, which everybody hated. That was the film that everyone came out and said, okay, our entire Star Wars universe is now destroyed. There's nothing left for us to take joy in any longer because everything's been sucked out from us, and Luke Skywalker was treated with utter disrespect. And everyone knows the whole. I mean, I'm sure everyone's seen the.
But Brian, what the $1 billion, is that worldwide or U.S. only?
No. That's not domestic. That is worldwide.
That's worldwide. Okay.
That's worldwide. Okay. I don't have the domestic number in front of me right now. I basically go off the worldwide numbers anyway. I mean, because if you're not going to talk about every single person that's seen the movie, to me, there's no real point in, you want to get every ticket that got bought.
But what is that? So what does that say about the actual movie and its performance? I mean, okay, what's the comparison? Is Endgame the comparison? Avengers and how well it did in the box office?
Well, if you really want to throw comparisons out there, what really threw everything off was Force Awakens, because before Force Awakens came around, I mean, if a movie did half $500 million, I mean, if a movie company came out and said, hey, we did 650 million or we did 700 million, that was a smashing success. But then 2015 comes around and Disney puts out a little thing called Force Awakens, and it's so happens to be taken 30 plus years after the last Star Wars was out, and then that does close to $2 billion. So that immediately changed the curve. Now, unless a movie did over $1 billion, it wasn't really exceeding the expectations that first went into it.
Well, I don't think it's just. I don't think it's the straight comparison. But if you look at both universes, I mean, Marvel has been around for a very long time in the comics, right? And so it kind of evolved into this Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then Endgame was the culmination of 11 years worth of movies, 22 films. Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, was, I mean, there was a lot in between. There was a lot in between the original trilogy, the prequels, and then the sequels. There was a whole lot. So everyone was expecting Episode 9, or hoping, I think, to be what you said, the culmination of 40 years of the Star Wars universe. But it's such a hard task to do, man. I mean, you have these huge expectations. And even Kathleen Kennedy said this, and I don't really like defending her in a lot of her choices, but she said,
well, come on now.
But she said we had no source material. Well, yeah, you did. You had George Lucas. He's still very much alive. That is the source material, and they chose to not use any of his outlines. But why is that? Why didn't they do that?
Now, I could spin off to a whole thing on Kathleen, and we could, if you want, we can just do all 90 minutes on Kathleen if you want. I can go ahead and do that.
No, there's more interesting things to do.
For purposes of the show, I mean, when it comes down to Kathleen, the bottom line is she was George Lucas's right hand before he stepped away. And no matter what happened with Disney, no matter where things were going, wherever Lucasfilm was going to evolve, she was going to be the person to take the reins, handpicked by him. So, if people want to point out that, okay, yeah, there was outlines there by George Lucas and she didn't use them, I can't fault Kathleen for wanting to make it, to evolve it into something that was their thing, provided by George Lucas. Just if she felt that they wanted to do something unique that was individual to her, JJ and Rian, I think that they had the latitude to do that, and contrary to some belief, I think they had George Lucas's blessing to do it, being that the relationship that they had while they were both at Lucasfilm together.
So the theatrical gross, right? We're looking at just a little over $1 billion, right?
Just a little over $1 billion.
Just a little over $1 billion with a budget of 275. I'm getting all this information right off of IMDb. So,
okay.
Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, we can talk about the rating system for a long time, and we can see how well it's done on IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic. I mean, it only got 52, 53% respectively. And that's from user input. But what does a purist think of that movie? A true fan, not just a casual fan like I think I consider to be, but you. What did you, Brian, think about Rise of Skywalker?
Well, I think a lot of casual fans loved it, but I mean, really, where it just didn't meet. Like I say, I had that expectation of a huge send-off of 40 years, a culmination of 40 years to send it off properly. I just don't feel it provided that type of closure. I felt, and this is where it gets interesting, in my opinion, this movie has right now made less money than Last Jedi. Last Jedi did $1.3 billion for everyone that couldn't stand it. So for everyone that couldn't stand it, it still wasn't enough to keep it from falling short compared to Rise of Skywalker. And when you look at that, the real feeling I got of Rise of Skywalker is that it was an anti-Last Jedi movie. It's almost as if JJ was put under tremendous pressure to do something that eviscerated everything from Last Jedi. And you could really almost eliminate that movie altogether and just go from 7 to 9 with no 8. Just because of the fan angst that took place.
Right. I agree. I think that you could go from The Force Awakens straight to Rise of Skywalker, having not seen The Last Jedi and still understood what was going on, because The Last Jedi didn't tell me anything, right? It tells me that Rey came from nothing, right? And the whole idea is that the Force can flow through everybody. It's not just a special select few and through bloodlines and through lineage. Okay, cool. All right, I got that. But I think I kind of wanted that. I think I kind of wanted to see that bloodline hold the Force for some reason, and maybe have a higher concentration of midichlorians, which we've all forgotten about somehow. And I'm sure you have your own thoughts on that. But like for the casual fan, Rise of Skywalker, I loved it. I loved the action. I loved the ending of it. I mean, it just had much more than Last Jedi. Last Jedi just felt like it just kind of dragged on. It didn't have much of a story to go with it. But again, I don't think Rise of Skywalker did either. I think it kind of jumped around. I think we both agree that it was all over the place. But man, it had action. It had it.
It action. There was no shortage of that, and I mean that's part of the reason that I enjoyed it. Action you come to expect from a Star Wars movie. It's even beyond an expectation. It's a necessity. It's a prerequisite. You got to have action in Star Wars movies. But really, where it comes down to me, the issue on this, if you want to talk about the necessity for Rey needing to have the bloodline, I don't think the whole deal with Kylo telling Rey she came from nothing, that you needed to walk away from that film feeling she came away with nothing. Kylo was just speaking only on what he knew. He didn't find out until he actually spoke with Palpatine about the Palpatine lineage. So, in essence, the conversation he had with Rey in Last Jedi is factual as far as he's concerned, because he can only go on the knowledge that he has at the present time. I really don't see a need to have tried to eviscerate Last Jedi altogether. I think a lot of the backlash that Rian Johnson got was unwarranted for the fact that I think the fans sometimes forget what George Lucas went through to get what back then Star Wars. It was not Episode 4. It was simply Star Wars. I think people forget every movie studio he sat with and every one he took it to pitch it to. He got laughed out of every room.
Well, because remember, I wasn't alive back then. I mean, I was born in 1980. But
is that just a shot at my age?
It is a shot at your age. It's just a little,
okay, that's fine.
Yeah, just a little jab. But I respect my elders. All right. So.
There's another jab at my age.
Hey, but you know what? I can't see your gray hair. I can't see it in that lighting. Okay, in that bad.
That's why I put it there. That's exactly why I put it there. That was by design for the show.
Why do you think I'm wearing a hood? It's just not to look cool, man. It's to hide my balding head. But
I got you.
So why did George Lucas get laughed out of every room? I mean, it's because nobody really believed in sci-fi, and when they did believe in sci-fi, it didn't do very well. And what did you have before that? I mean, you had Buck Rogers, and then you had some of these other really cheesy looking, sci-fi shows. But then Star Wars comes around, blows everything out of the water as far as special effects goes. The whole idea of the Force, and then you have this almost this Lord of the Rings-esque type beginning, right, going on, and then it goes around and around, and it culminates here in 2019 and 2020 with the end of Rise of Skywalker. But it turned into this massive universe, and I mean, I bet everybody who left him out of the room are kicking themselves in the butt because of how big it got. But yeah, he went through a lot. George Lucas did go through a lot, and he kept this whole thing close hold. Before, when he was signing off on letting people do books, right? He was carefully mapping out his timeline and his story, and everything was kind of flowing and working well. But then Disney comes along and they completely erase all of that to make their own story. But why? Why do that?
Well, they may have erased it, but it sure didn't keep them from pulling from it, did it?
No, it did not.
You looked at they throw in Thrawn in the Star Wars Rebels. You got General Thrawn in there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they
He's a
you got
Grand Admiral, right? Is that what he is?
Grand
Grand
Admiral
Admiral.
Thrawn. Then
All right.
you got that they used Planet Ilum in one of the Clone Wars locations, and Ilum was a expanded universe location before they. So they're definitely drawn from it.
Yeah, they pick and choose. So with the last couple of minutes of this segment, what do we think about Rey? I mean, where does this go? Is this the end of Rey Palpatine, Rey Skywalker, whatever they call it? Well, okay, where do we? Okay,
not by a long shot.
So where do we see her? What goes on now?
Well, and I mean, if I have to throw a spoiler alert out there for a movie that's almost a month old, I'm sorry, but I'll just say spoiler alert. She didn't end up with a yellow saber for no reason whatsoever.
What does that mean?
They've definitely got a plan for her of some kind. I mean, I could spend a lot of conjecture figuring out what that is, but she's definitely not done. Not by any spectrum of the means. I don't necessarily think that it's going to have to be an episode 10 or anything like that, because I think they're definitely going to separate it off. But I don't think Rey is finished. No.
Okay, so they're calling the episodes 1 through 9 the Skywalker saga, right?
Right.
That's what they're calling it. So if they move on, I mean, what do they call it? The Rey, the Palpatine saga. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't really matter, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an individual episode, titled of something of its own, featuring her going forward, and it'll be an interconnected set of stories, but individual titles. I could see it going that way.
Okay, well, that's cool. So we spent a good deal of time talking about Rise of Skywalker, and that's done. That's been released, and it's going to come out on Disney Plus here pretty soon. We're expecting. But let's talk about what everybody else is talking about, just so we can be cool like everyone else. The Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, man.
Baby who?
Baby Yoda, not the child. It's Baby Yoda to me because I like chicky nuggies and mac and cheese.
Okay.
All right.
Technically, the name of the character right now is the child.
Yes,
but,
I know.
Of course, everyone's gone on and adopted Baby Yoda because
it's Baby Yoda, man.
The child looks like Yoda.
Yeah, it's Baby Yoda.
But the Mandalorian right now is the hot ticket right now. Sitting. Having wrapped up its season before Rise of Skywalker debuted. It was 10 episodes. I believe it was a 10
It was
episode.
a 10 or 8. I believe. I think it was 8. You know what? I can't remember because after I saw it, I was done.
Yeah.
God, I mean, I got to tell you, man. As a casual fan, but a fan nonetheless. I loved it. I loved everything, the storyline. I loved how we were able to see the universe really expand outside of the Skywalker saga. I think we saw that firsthand with Rogue One, which was fantastic, by the way. But now we're looking at another character, right? And it's going into the lore of the whole Mandalorian warrior. It's great, but these stories, right? They're very well done, and John Favreau. Yep. John Favreau did he directed the first episode, right?
Yeah, they've had different directors for several of the episodes.
Yeah. It was 8 episodes, by the way. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so it was 8.
It was 8 episodes.
So they've gone with, but that's not only allowed for to go and look for creative talent that's out there and also get exposure to them, but it gave Dave Filoni the flexibility to sort of step away and be in more of the production role and executive producer role and sort of monitor things from that level while the director duties were taken up by different levels of talent, which I thought was a good idea. But anyone who knows Filoni from Clone Wars and Rebels pretty much knows anything he gets his hand on it's going to have the Midas effect. I mean, it's going to be golden. And he pretty much provided us that with The Mandalorian. It exceeded my expectations. It was nothing close to what I would call a TV series. It was very much closer to when CBS Access launched
Oh, Discovery.
I might, yeah, I was gonna say I might get lynched for bringing this up, but Star Trek Discovery was extremely well done for CBS Access. It was a cinematic experience more
Yeah,
than a TV
I
experience.
think you'll get a pass from some of the Star Wars fans out there because I mean you really can't
Are you
deny
sure?
how
I don't know.
I don't know it was well done. I mean you can't beat good filmmaking. I mean you have to admit to it. You know it was really well done. You know, The Mandalorian was a great surprise. I had been hearing about it here and there, but you know, you get speculation so far in advance, you try not to get too caught up in it because then all you're doing is getting excited. You know, it's like, you know, somebody be waiting for Christmas in June, which I do. So, yeah, I'm a sucker, you know, so who cares if I'm almost 40? But you know, what I think what really appealed, right, to everyone in The Mandalorian and Disney Plus also, because this is a big win for Bob Iger, is you launch this new streaming service, right, where it's super competitive. You got Netflix, you got Hulu, you have Amazon Prime, right, CBS All Access. Everyone is launching one left and right. And for now, you know, until the bubble bursts, and then and then you have The Mandalorian come out, and then you have, you know, the child, Baby Yoda, which, you know, appeals to everyone. You know, Jennifer saw it, you know, and she was all about it. I mean, she's not all about Star Wars at all. And she's the one, and she was telling me, have you seen Baby Yoda? And I haven't gotten around to it. I signed up for Disney Plus, but I didn't get around to it. And I'm like, you're talking about it? Brian just mentioned it, and he spoiled it because I didn't know anything about it because, you know, I wasn't looking at it. And then
I wouldn't spoil anything. I don't spoil.
You said Baby Yoda. I didn't even know about Baby Yoda yet. I just knew Mandalorian.
Maybe
that's okay.
A little bit.
That's okay. That's all right.
And for the audience out there, Jennifer happens to be Jason's sister.
Yeah.
So just so that there's no confusion.
Yeah. She's my sister over there in back in San Antonio. Yeah. I got it. Yeah.
So you have a twin sister.
No.
Maybe not a twin.
No, I don't have long hair, so. But yeah, you know, I was really happy with it. But you know, they didn't do the Netflix thing where they filmed all the series and then they released them all at once.
That was brilliant.
Well, I think so. From a business perspective, it was, and I'll tell you why. Everybody wanted it, right? But it's subscriptions, yes.
Subscription.
Because they had the free trial, right? If you just had the free trial, what was it, a 7-day free trial? No, it was a 1-week free trial, right?
Yeah, you do. You get your trial, you binge the whole thing in 2 nights with
and then
energy
just
drinks and a porta potty right there from your couch, and then you cut the subscription the next day. Yeah,
exactly.
They weren't having any of that.
Yeah, but you know what? And I'm gonna hold on to that. I'm gonna hold on to because I actually upgraded and I did the ESPN Plus too.
You did go to the ESPN.
Yeah, I did. I pulled the trigger on that. It's good because I like a lot of their shows that they do. Not the, I mean, I watch the sports, of course, but you know, a lot of their what is it, 60 for 60 or whatever they call it.
30 for 30.
30 for 30, whatever. I was off by an hour. Yeah, so I you know, I enjoy watching those things. You know, it's good. It's good TV. You know, for someone who doesn't really watch a whole lot of TV. Except when I'm about to fall asleep. But I'm excited for season 2. I was expecting it to come out a lot later. When are we expecting it?
October of this year.
That's super, super soon. I mean, we went we go without Rick and Morty for almost a year and a half between seasons sometime. Yeah, and they're coming out with Mandalorian in October. I mean, that's great. I'm super excited. So where does this go, man? Okay, so the story, I mean, look, we're going to just be dropping spoilers here, right? Because we're assuming that people are watching this and they already know what's going on, okay? So spoiler alert here, right?
Just get out the way. We're going to drop some spoilers.
We know that the Mandalorian, right, has now been vindicated.
Din Djarin.
Right.
Is the name.
Din Djarin, right, has been vindicated, and now he has been entrusted, right, because of his honor and the Mandalorian code to watch over this child now. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're off into space just like they always do. But now what? Where do they go? Where does this adventure go?
I think season 2 we're gonna find more about Din Djarin's identity and past. They towards the season conclusion of season 1, they dropped huge Easter eggs as to more of when Din Djarin was rescued. I don't know if you saw that episode, but Din Djarin was rescued by some Mandalorians, and the Mandalorian that actually pulled Din Djarin from the it was like a cellar as the Trade Federation droids were attacking. As that Mandalorian pulled Din Djarin out of there, on his armor was the crest of Death Watch. So Death Watch was something huge during Dave Filoni's The Clone Wars. Um, Death Watch has a lot to do with Clan Vizsla, which in Rebels, Sabine Wren is a relative of Clan Vizsla.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a lot of stuff interconnecting here. As in the finale of season 1, you also got a good look at Grand Moff Gideon using the dark saber to cut his way loose from the TIE fighter.
Yeah.
That's what he used, the dark saber, to cut his way out of there. The dark saber was something that Pris Vizsla of Clan Vizsla used against the Jedi during the Jedi Mandalorian Wars. That was actually used by him to counteract the lightsabers.
Now the Jedi Mandalorian Wars, that comes from where?
Well, see, there you go with splicing some of that expanded universe material.
Okay, so you see, yeah, I don't know if we have to be careful with that, or if we have to, if we're going to talk about expanded universe or Disney universe, because it's I think it's in a bit of a gray area right now.
It's gray. It was definitely a source for it, but everything that we're mentioning now is canon for Disney. So if I'm mentioning Clan Vizsla, or if I'm referring to Death Watch, or those are all things sourced from Rebels and Clone Wars right now. So the dark saber. So I mean, was the expanded universe source material for this? Yes, but for purposes of the Mandalorian and going forward, that's where it's really rooted. It's still Disney canon, and I don't, if we were to shoot that expanded universe was the inspiration for it, I don't see that as too much of a big deal.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think. Well, here's another question I have for you, and maybe this can kind of help clear this up and see where it's going. Is Disney, right, and based on your insider knowledge, do they have a team? Do they have somebody that's specifically over the timeline, the storyline, or did they break it off? Okay, you're in charge of Skywalker Saga. You're in charge of Rebels, Clone Wars. You're in charge of Mandalorian. I mean, and how they all intertwine. You know how like Kevin Feige is in charge of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he ultimately ensured that everything intertwined, all the movies and everything like that. I know it's apples and oranges, but we're talking about it in the context of media and story. How does that work over at Disney?
Well, I mean, my understanding is if Filoni has his staff, and of course, Kathleen Kennedy has a staff over there at Lucasfilm, and I'm sure that those roles are appropriately dispersed as how they see fit. As far as like who exactly is taking that stuff, I don't have that on me. But I know they all work pretty closely together, and they pretty much do their homework, and they don't really leave a whole lot of stones unturned. So I really don't see any, or even I wouldn't even anticipate anything moving into season 2 being conflicted. They do a fairly good job of making sure that nothing gets in the way with the other.
Okay, well, I mean that's cool. I mean, and I kind of wondered that. I mean, no, is Lucasfilm, are they still based out of Skywalker Ranch, or have they moved to Burbank?
There's still stuff done at Skywalker Ranch.
Okay.
I don't believe Skywalker Ranch has really ever been the headquarters for Lucasfilm. Skywalker Ranch is pretty much the creative center. That's where you've got sound effects and production level stuff happening. It's like it was an idea creative center while Lucas was in charge of Lucasfilm. But I mean, Skywalker Ranch also serves as a hub to different directors. I mean, James Cameron used that for Titanic.
Hmm.
He
did? Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Okay.
He shot a lot of the effects for Titanic at Skywalker Ranch. So, uh, uh, who's the kid? Who's the kid from Mayberry and all that that
Oh,
did Apollo 13?
Opie.
Ron Howard. 'Cause
Ron
Howard was
Howard,
the
yeah.
director. Yeah, Ron Howard was the director of Solo. But when Ron Howard was doing the Apollo movie, he used Skywalker Ranch as well, and
Okay.
that just goes from his relationship when they were doing American Graffiti.
Yeah, that was. Oh, yeah, that started everything, and that got a lot of great future directors involved and collaborating. You can really think of that as kind of like the genesis of what's all become a staple of American filmmaking today. And you can appreciate all their movies. Apollo 13 was great. And how much me and my dad are into space and NASA and everything like that. And
Oh
watching it when I was younger, it was fantastic. And and I had learned that they didn't use any NASA footage. I'm like, well, which is kind of good because the NASA footage is good. It's just really grainy because if it was in the '60s. Yeah, it's fantastic filmmaking, and kind of where we're on the subject, and we're in the last few minutes of this segment. Did you ever see Red Tails?
Loved Red Tails.
Loved Red Tails.
This is not Star Wars related, but man, if no one's seen Red Tails and if folks don't know a lot about the Tuskegee Airmen, go see that movie.
Right, and yeah,
stream it.
Yeah, man. I got to tell you what is about this movie, right? Is that it's very Lucasfilm, right? It's very Lucasfilm
All the way.
Yes, it's very very Lucasfilm because the detail, the special effects, it's fantastic. Now there is a scene, and I want to talk about this real quick, where they where
It's quick, by the way.
Yeah, it's going to be real quick. The Tuskegee Airmen, they're coming up, right, and they're going to be giving the bomber escort, and they're coming up above the clouds.
Yeah.
And it looks, it's not real, but it looks
Yeah.
so real. And I've seen it, during my time in the Marine Corps and being in military aircraft. Coming up from above the clouds, it's as real as it can get.
It's
and
an
the
incredible
dogfighting in that movie is fantastic. So if you, I know we're talking about Star Wars and Mandalorian right now, but if you haven't seen it, you got to see it. It's such a great movie.
It's George Lucas. We can let it slide.
It's great. So we spent some good time on Mandalorian, and we kind of went off on a tangent, but that's all right because now we're going to talk about Clone Wars. We got Clone Wars coming up for the final seventh season. It is huge.
This is huge.
It is very huge. Very huge.
We got the date has been adjusted for Clone Wars. That's the first thing. It's actually going to drop. It's not 2/17. It's actually going to drop February 21st. Now, is my understanding.
Why the delay?
I don't think it's a delay. I think it was ready to roll. I think the 2/17 mark was either a misprint that I saw, or I looked it up again and it's 2/21.
Okay.
So we got a couple weeks, but this is going to be the final Clone Wars season. That much has been put out there. This will be season 7, the final season. But really, what got the birth of this going was just really just the fans. That this wouldn't be going on if the fans hadn't just insisted on it. The fan following that Clone Wars has is even more so, I would say, than the sequel trilogy. I think the Clone Wars series has more fans than the sequel trilogy has pulled over.
Well, let me tell you why, right? And again, I am talking from a casual fan's perspective. What I believe it was season 2 where Ahsoka fights Vader. Is that right? Season 2, the Twilight of the Force, or I don't know what they called it.
It was Twilight of the Apprentice was the episode.
That's right.
That was not season 2, and that's actually Rebels.
I'm sorry. So I'm thinking of because
you know what?
Because I'm looking at So it's all the same. So I haven't followed Clone Wars as closely as I have Rebels. Right.
Ahsoka is really the one character that flows over from Clone Wars into Rebels.
Right, because Clone Wars is first, Rebels is next.
But you also have Rex. You have Rex and Wolf that are also in Rebels. The Kanan and the group from Rebels kind of run into Captain Rex and Commander Wolf. that were from Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But the Clone Wars series, while it was on, went into some deep stuff, man. There were some deep story arcs in there. I mean, we found out more about uh, Order 66. They explored that in a much deeper way. We actually got to see what was going on with the chip implants on the clones as to how that was triggered. So, I mean, there was a whole story arc onto that.
Now, you got to help me out here. Now, the clones, right? They are not, when the Empire becomes the Empire, right? They are only a certain unit, right, of the Imperial Stormtroopers, right?
Actually, right.
Okay.
I mean, when the Empire was formed, and some of this again is splicing expanded universe material that's been out there. But pretty much when it just serves to logic that it wasn't going to be cost effective to keep making clones when there was no war going on, and Palpatine could pretty much just go hire regular people and pay them a pish posh amount versus paying the Kaminoans all this money to keep pumping clones out.
Yeah.
So I mean, the clones got fizzled into what is known as the 501st Troop Legion, the remaining clones, which that was the 501st Troop Legion was the toughest Stormtrooper Legion in the Empire.
Don't you have a 501st there in San Antonio?
Well, there's 501st all over the globe.
Ah, okay.
After the tail of the 501st started hitting, fans who love Stormtroopers formed their club, the 501st Legion, and these guys are serious dudes, man. They go out, they make their own armor. Very, very serious bunch of guys.
Mm-hmm.
But that pretty much explains the transition from Palpatine going from clones into regular servicemen for the Imperial ranks. But
I'm sorry. I went off topic there just because I needed to know a little bit more. But we can get back into Clone Wars a little bit. But what do you think what are we going to see in this final season? And now season 7 is going to be on Disney Plus. It's not going to be
only Disney Plus.
It's not going to be on
not
Cartoon
anywhere
Network.
Else.
Nope, not going to be on Cartoon Network. And
not on Cartoon Network.
And it's from a business standpoint, it's good. I mean, I have to say that. I have to. Yeah, I got to think that way. I mean, I got a damn business degree, so I got to think that way.
From a fan standpoint, it's a little limiting, but I mean, they're, just if you're a fan, go out and get a month of Disney Plus.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be worth it. I think it's going to be another big selling point for Disney Plus for fans or even casual fans or even people that are brand new to kind of see what's going on. Because in that way you see season 7 or you binge on 1 through 6, which they're there already. Am I correct? 1 through 6 are already on Disney Plus.
Oh, 1 through 6 are available.
Yeah, 1 through 6 are available, so you can go watch it, and then boom, when season 7 comes out, you're ready to rock and roll.
Now you're probably going to need more than the energy drinks and the porta potty if you're going to do the 1 through 6. You're probably going to need. I don't know.
It's what it's like 200 episodes. How many is it?
You're probably going to need something biblical to get through that. Like, I don't know if I got the intestinal fortitude to get through 1 through 6, and I don't know what would have to be done to do that. What would you do to get through that? I don't know what I would do. I have no idea.
You know what? I take a lot of pre-workout before I go to the gym. I'd probably quadruple my pre-workout. I'd probably sniff it. just to get it straight into the bloodstream.
Question: what would you legally do?
Hey, that's not illegal. I can totally take it. It doesn't say how I have to take it. I can totally take it. The way I do it is it's none of your business or the government's. So there you go. But that's what I would have to do to binge the whole thing. But I mean, it's 121 episodes from seasons 1 through 6. 121 episodes. That is a lot of television to get through. A lot, right? I mean, and I went through all of Star Trek: The Next Generation in a matter of about 2 weeks or so. Because I'm a Star Trek fan too. So what? So sue me. But Um, uh, it's a lot, but I think it's going to be worth it because I'm going to have to do it if I want to continue this show with you. And I gotta step up my game and I gotta watch a little bit more. So
Well, I mean, again, like just touching back on it, there's a lot there. The Order 66 story arc, that's just one arc. I mean, it goes into you find out more detail about Master Sifo-Dyas as to what Dooku had to do to construct that and orchestrate that.
thank you.
You find out there. You find out in the story that was an arc of its own. You have an arc about the Force Masters. How Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka all went to a planet where there was one omnipotent Force being who had a light child and a dark child, and you see the Force tree and all that's in there. You have that story arc. It's a very well done, detailed mosaic of just background of things that have led up to where we are now. As far as what to expect to season 7, my honest answer is I have no earthly idea.
Well, we know how it ends because I mean, episode 3 happens before all this. So I mean, we know.
Right. I mean,
we know who doesn't die. You know.
Right. I mean, they we know Ahsoka's going to go on because she's in Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's really no cliffhanger there as far as they've already shown in the teaser that she's going to face off against Maul. We know she's going to survive that duel. But I mean, Filoni has this knack of surprise. The man has never not surprised me in anything he's done thus far. So to ask what I expect in season 7, the absolute truth of my answer is I really don't know. I don't know what he's got cooked up. I can tell you whatever it is, it's going to shock us.
Well, that's good. That's what we want as fans. We want to be shocked.
That's what I want. Yeah, that's definitely what I want.
We want to be shocked, and we want to see something new. We really do.
So that you and I can come back on here and keep spinning stuff out.
Yeah, exactly. What the good thing about Star Wars is that we're never going to be short of material. We can always talk about the past. We can always talk about the future. And Brian, I got to tell you, I'm hoping and I am rooting for the future of this franchise. I mean, I love everything about it. I love the mythos. I love the story. I love the universe. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, come on, a big laser sword. I mean, even though we're getting to the very basics of what being a Star Wars fan is all about, but I mean, imagine
a laser sword,
a big laser sword coming out, right? It's awesome. I mean, who thought about that? I mean, George Lucas did. I mean, I'm sure he got it from somewhere, but I mean, it's now part of our culture. It's part of American culture. Everything is a lightsaber. And if you see it and you don't know what it is, and it's damn near un-American. I said it. It's damn near un-American if you don't know what a lightsaber is. And I'm okay with saying that. So if I get any pushback, I am really sorry. But figure out what a lightsaber is. Google Wikipedia. So I am. I'm rooting for it. I think. I think what Iger did, and Iger is close to retiring, the CEO of the Walt Disney Company, is
he'll probably retire pretty comfortably at that.
Oh yeah, he's going to retire super comfortably. So I mean, he's seen the largest transformation in this company since Eisner, and what he was doing as far as the movies go is that he didn't want to saturate, right, the moviegoers with Star Wars movies, and you kind of don't. And I think the beauty of what happened between the original trilogy and the prequels was that we had such a long time, right? We had a long time, and we had a lot of filler. We had expanded universe, we had comics, books, right? We had all these things to kind of hold us over until George Lucas decided that he wanted to do it again, and he wanted to wait until the technology was better. He could do a lot more, and he did. We can argue about how well the trilogies were done left and right, but I mean, ultimately, I think he told his story, and that's what we want. We want the creator to tell their story, right? It would be like Tolkien, finishing off at the second book, finishing off at the Two Towers, and then having somebody else write it. the Return of the King. You don't want that. You want the storyteller. So, what I'm saying is, I want George Lucas back and involved in some way, shape, or form. Even if they just have him as a consultant, like, hey George, we want to do this. What do you think? Yeah, that sounds good. Or
Well,
no.
it's interesting you bring that up. Before we go into the next topic, we got maybe an extra minute we can squeeze in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So um, basically, it is still listed as rumor right now, so I can't come on here and say that this is factual. But the source is pretty good. I'll say that. Um, so the big talk right now this past week is that George Lucas will be coming back to work with Disney to, from a production level, oversee the upcoming Cassian Andor series that's coming to Disney Plus, which will feature Cassian Andor and K2SO from Rogue One. I'm not I'm not really surprised that Lucas has agreed to come back into the fold with this particular project, as he had a lot of compliments for Rogue One. He really liked it. Um, Plus, Rogue One, I think, really was probably the closest out of any of the projects that was to classic Lucas. So it's this pretty much all aligns. I'm not surprised if he's gonna lend his expertise and skill to this particular, if it turns out that it is in fact what's going on. But I think that's exciting.
I think it is too. And like I was talking about earlier, I mean, I want the creator. I want the creator there and to give his input in some way, shape, or form. I mean, he doesn't have to be directly involved, but, I want to see what he was thinking, And the sad part about it is, or maybe we will, or maybe we won't, is know what he was thinking for episode 7, 8, and 9. I mean, I kind of want to know that. And I know there's some speculation out there. I've seen something. I would just really, really, really want to know. And who knows? Maybe he publishes a memoir, later on in his life. But, while he still, has the energy and the motivation, I mean, I would love for him to be involved in it. I mean, I would appreciate it. And I know you would. And I know every huge Star Wars fan out there really would, And they hear me talking, right? They're like, you're just a casual man. You don't know what you're talking about. But I feel for you guys, And I mean, you spend a great deal of time collecting and reading and researching and having a fun time with this thing, just like I am with you right now. And we want to see it go on. But we went on another tangent there for a little bit, which is okay. But
a small one.
But
I think,
but I think we talked about it, and I'm getting out of character here for a second because we already talked about like the new original trilogy a little bit. Let's just go to the Kenobi series real quick and talk about that for a second, and then we'll wrap it up, man, because I'm gonna get some sleep if that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me start a timer, and we'll talk about Kenobi. So moving on, we'll. We have the Kenobi series. I know we didn't even mention that yet. And this is something that has gotten everybody excited. Huge, because everybody wants Ewan McGregor involved. He's going to be involved. Everybody loves it. And we all want it because he's such a great actor. He played the part of Kenobi so well is that, people are identifying Obi-Wan Kenobi with him and not so much Sir Alec Guinness anymore. Not to, say anything about Sir Alec Guinness and how well he played the part in the original series. But, man, I mean, what's up? What do you got? What do you know, man?
So, really, I don't want to fully disappoint folks out there, but I don't have much. But the Kenobi series has actually, it turns out that it's been in development for actually some time. They, given the advent of social media and people such as ourselves, that we really have no other outlets in our life other than Star Wars, and we go and we are able to dig up all kinds of useless information from other sources that we can't even begin to say where we get those sources from. They did a really good job keeping a secret of it, and they didn't there was conjecture, a lot of conjecture that it was in the pipeline, but no one had anything that they could really speak to up until Star Wars Celebration and Ewan McGregor hit the stage and pretty much at that point let the cat out of the bag that there was a Kenobi series coming to Disney Plus. They just recently released a poster for it, a teaser poster that went online. It's simply Obi-Wan's hand holding his classic blue lightsaber that he's had through the original trilogy and Episode 3. The only bit of bad news is that they did announce that the current writing staff they had for the Kenobi series pretty much took a walk. So they're looking for some new writers. So the show is on hold indefinite right now until they get a new batch of writers come in and they get back on track. So there is a hold on the show right now for that reason. I haven't heard anything yet as to which writers they're looking at or when they're bringing them on board. But that is what's taking place right now within Lucasfilm land on the Kenobi show. We did find out that the original writers did have planned or had planned for Kenobi's antagonist to be the Jedi turned Sith Sharad Fetts.
And where is he from?
That is also from Expanded Universe.
Okay.
As much as I delve into the franchise that I love, I have not delved fully into Expanded Universe. So I don't have a lot for you on Sharad Fetts, other than that he was a Jedi gone Sith, and I believe he was within the circle of Tusken Raiders, which is pretty fitting given the Tusken toast that's across from me here. But as far as how long production is delayed, again, there's really not a lot of light to shed on that until they can get some writers in that they're going to be able to be on the same page with. No pun intended there either. But they did ask Ed McGregor about it, and he pretty much gave it the whole Shakespearean. He thinks there's much ado about nothing as far as the entire panic that's going on. He's letting everyone know, there's no need for anyone to go to the top of Mount Octo and jump off. The Kenobi series will be hitting Disney Plus before long, and everyone who are Kenobi fans will be happy.
Well, we've been seeing this a little bit, Brian. We've been seeing directors, writers kind of jump ship for some reason or another from Star Wars projects. So the first one we saw was when was it Colin Trevorrow? He disassociated himself, or he got fired. I don't know exactly what the whole story was from Episode 9, and J.J. Abrams stepped in. So now we're seeing the writers, right? They are all jumping ship from the Kenobi series, and I don't think we all know why that's happening. But I mean, what does that tell us? I mean, is there some sort of disconnect happening in Lucasfilm? Is there some sort of like, struggle or conflict of the storyline between Lucasfilm, Disney, and the creators?
I wouldn't necessarily maybe define it as a disconnect. I think both Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger both recognize that this isn't just going to be any series. This is like The Mandalorian. I mean, you go out and you tell Star Wars fans that you're going to make something that's The Mandalorian, they're going to expect exactly that. So you go on and let everyone know that there's going to be a series on Disney Plus with Obi-Wan Kenobi. They're going to expect that they get Obi-Wan Kenobi and everything about Obi-Wan Kenobi. So if the current group of writers they have right now are not on page with Kennedy and Iger and Ewan McGregor, for that matter, as to who Obi-Wan Kenobi is and what he has been, if they're writing is not reflective of that, that's a huge issue, and that can't happen. And you have to correct the ship now before production gets any further on.
Right. All right. I mean, and I agree. Um, saying that it was getting me thinking. You have a very very loyal fan base. I mean, this is the most loyal fan base of any media out there, right? Or even any sports team out there. I mean, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm a pretty diehard Cowboys fan, and I know you are too. So it's kind of
That's a
we can have an older show on that one, dude.
that's a base that's dwindling. I don't know if you could. I don't know if you could talk about powerful numbers in that right now.
Yeah, well, not right now. I mean, we've had 25 years of suck, but we won't talk about that. We're gonna get into a whole other thing.
No, just about the wars.
But yeah, man, it's just a huge fan base, and I can understand the pressure to deliver, right? And whether or not Kathleen Kennedy feels that it's pressure to deliver, or if it's simply, look, I want to honor George's vision, and George's vision had this for the fans. Ultimately, I think every creator, right, creates a universe in their own mind, and it's somewhat, well, what can I sell, and it's somewhat self-serving. It's a balance of both. So now you have had Star Wars evolve into this thing that's bigger than the creator now. It is beyond Lucas, right? It's you. It's everyone else that is very much involved in this. And if you have writers that are coming in and they're trying to Game of Thrones this thing together, it just isn't going to work. I mean,
Nope.
I think you have to kind of maintain a certain style, all right, of writing and of story delivering. It has to be something that's not always completely done, which The Mandalorian did do in one episode, right? Because he was a lone ranger. He comes in, he saves a town, and he leaves. He was very Rambo. And it's been done a million times. But it still made a good story in the characters that were in that. So I can understand that. And it makes it tough for us because now we got to wait for Kenobi. But do we want quality? Do we want it done right? Do we want the character of
Yes.
Obi-Wan? We do,
Yes.
right? We want the
Yes,
character
absolutely.
of Obi-Wan Kenobi treated very well. We want it to be given quality, full 100% treatment, quality, and 100% dedicated writers.
I mean,
We
you
wa-
walk into Ruth Chris and you want a steak.
Hell yeah!
You know,
I want to stick right now.
steak right now.
I want to stick right now, even though it's midnight here in Miami. I want a
You're
steak.
gonna.
I can get one. It's Miami. I can get whatever I want in Miami.
Oh, I'm sure you can get a steak at midnight, man. You're just gonna have to go to the gym a little bit earlier.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll do that anyways. Maybe not tomorrow. I don't know. It's Friday, but we'll see. Yeah, I agree. I hope they can figure it out. I hope they get some writers that will definitely treat Ewan McGregor and the Obi-Wan character very well and give us some really good fan service. Because even though you don't really always need fan service because you get new story to generate and create new fan service, you want a little bit of that. And you know what? Episode 9 did that with Lando Calrissian. Lando freaking Calrissian. And you want to know how big of a fan I am of Lando Calrissian, right? I want to be more like Lando. I want to be more like him. I got a book on it. So I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, we're going back to episode 9 again. I mean, all I can say is maybe a little bit too much fan service. You know, you don't have to go and wipe out one movie to get the next one to make them happy. But I mean, hey, you know, that's just one fan's opinion right here. Again, I gave it earlier in the show. I'm giving it again. As far as I got no issues with anybody wanting to be Lando. You look at the childish Gambino out there. There was no better. I mean, you want to talk about a blueprint to be Lando? Just look at the childish Gambino. That dude. I never thought the childish Gambino would pull off Lando, but he did.
I don't know. I really don't know who else could. I mean, because
No.
he. I
No,
mean,
after I've seen it, no. There's nobody else that can ever play Lando again.
I mean, a young Billy D. Williams, right? He had that. He
No,
had
he
that
did.
swagger. He had that swagger, right?
All of it.
Yeah. And then I mean, who else could pull it off? The Childish Gambino. Did I tell you that I met him?
No.
Lando.
You met
Yeah.
the Childish Gambino?
No. I met Billy D. Williams.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well,
he
hey,
was.
that's still equally exciting.
Yeah, he was here. He was at a comic book convention here in Miami, right?
No kidding.
And yeah, so he was up there, and you know he had just finished doing Dancing with the Stars, and he had gotten hurt, and so he was in a wheelchair. He was being pushed around by a handler, but he was there. He was kind of giving a talk, and it was just so funny because I had put his little poster that said, you know, Colt 45 works every time on my desk at work. This is when I was, you know, with the Marines here in Miami. And so he, right, was up there just, you know, giving his little talk, and he was answering questions. He was doing kind of like a town hall. And somebody asked him, right, you know, Mr. Williams, when you're about to actually do a part and do a play, how do you prepare? I mean, do you eat something different, or do you kind of prepare in a different way? And then I got up in front of everybody, and I said, he enjoys a nice Colt 45. It works every time. I am 100% serious that I did this. And then he looked at me, and he says, yeah, it works every time. He said it just like that. And everybody roared, and it was a great experience. That man is fantastic. But let me tell you another thing, Brian. This is not the only good thing about Mr. Billy D. Williams. Mr. Billy D. Williams, right, was the only celebrity there, right, that would give and take pictures, give autographs and take pictures for free. He wasn't charging anybody. Everybody else that was out there, he was doing it for free. And then he made sure his handler got on stage and said that. Says Mr. Williams will be here for an hour, and he's going to be taking pictures with fans and giving autographs, and he's not going to charge anybody.
Now look at that.
Wow. And, class act.
I mean, you look at a guy like Daniel Logan, and you know, I'm not trying to say anything bad about Daniel Logan, but you know what? When you line up at Heroes and Fantasies for Daniel Logan's signature, and then you got his agent saying like, oh well, it's not one of our photographs that's on the table that we're gonna, you know, so we got to charge you this. We got to charge you an extra 15 since it's your action figure. You know, Daniel Logan's all of like 5 years old or whatever, you know, compared to someone who's of Billy D. Williams' stature. That says a lot for Billy D. Williams that he wouldn't charge anything like that. That's huge.
Yeah. It really is, and you know, for me, I mean, it was just a great experience to have him recognize me saying it works every time in Colt 45, because I don't know, I just think it's funny, and it's, you know, it's nostalgic for me.
By the way, we're not shamelessly plugging Colt 45, but we're shamelessly
plugging Colt 45. Yeah, it's fantastic. But yeah, we spent a lot of time on that, man, and that's our timer. Let's I'm gonna stop recording. Is that cool?